Who do you edge out with that one, Sugar Ray, with Spence and Crawford?
Yeah, that's what I have to
Thank you.
Being in there with Spence and obviously Crawford, who's the best fighter out of those two? Who's the king of the welterweights?
I think after seeing their fight, Porter and Crawford, I think you've got to lean towards Crawford.
In the ring with all of them. In your opinion, the best welterweight fighting right now is who?
The best welterweight fighting right now has to be Terence Crawford. I think there was just a number of things that I saw, felt, sensed, the whole nine, and he was just a little bit better, more than just about everybody I've been in the ring with.
And you fought Errol before the accident.
What they do, YouTube? It's your boy King David in this thing, and I'm back at y'all again with another video. So before we get going on the video, man, I'ma need y'all to go ahead, hit the like button, and if you're new here, be sure to subscribe one time for your boy, so we can continue to grow like we need to grow on this channel. Alright, so with all that out the window, man, y'all see what the title of the video is. The reason Terence Crawford destroys Errol Spence Jr. Part 2. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, for every part 2, there's a part 1. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, I don't know how many of y'all seen the part 1 version, but, you know, in part 1 version, man, I pretty much broke down why I believe Terence Crawford destroys Errol Spence Jr. But in this video here, I'm going to double down on my original point, and I'm going to further elaborate on why Terence Crawford completely destroys, completely decapitates, and completely obliterates Errol Spence Jr. You know what I'm saying? We're going to break it all the way the fuck down in this one. You know what I mean? But before that, let's make sure we address some of the criticism we got in the last video, because in the last video I got a lot of Earl sexual fanboy motherfuckers jumping up in our comment section talking all kind of this and all kind of that, you know what I'm saying, in regards to your boy being biased, in regards to your boy being delusional, all these things that these niggas were saying in the last video, right? So let's address some of that shit, right? Because first and foremost, you know what I'm saying, if your boy King David is delusional and biased, then that would mean, wouldn't that mean that Sugar Ray Leonard is biased and delusional? You know what I'm saying? One of the GOATs in boxing, one of the legends in boxing, also picking Terence Bud Crawford to beat Errol Spence Jr. Would that mean that he's also delusional and also biased? Because he's picking Terence Crawford as well. What about Kell Brook and Sean Porter, two guys who fought both Errol Spence and Terence Crawford? Are they biased and are they delusional for picking Terence Crawford to beat Errol Spence Jr.? You know what I'm saying? Are they? You know what I mean? So for dudes to come out their face and call your boy King David biased and delusional for really calling it like I see it, because when I break it down, I give you receipts, I give you facts in order for you to follow my logic, because that's what motherfuckers do when they make good points. They give you receipts, they give you a logic for you to follow, and that's exactly what I do. You know what I mean? So with all that said, man, let's go ahead and let's proceed to further break down why Terence Crawford completely and utterly dominates Errol Spence Jr., right? Okay, so let's get going. All right, so what are the main questions that I got on my last video in regards to Terence Crawford dominating Errol Spence, right? Was a lot of the fanboys and a lot of the Errol Spence fans, you know, they kept making this same statement in regards to the fact that how is Terence Crawford going to deal with the pressure of an Errol Spence Jr.? How is he gonna deal with the pressure? That's what these dudes say, right? How is Terence Crawford gonna deal with the punches and bunches? How is he gonna deal with the pressure, right? That was a lot of the comments and a lot of shit that I was getting on the last video, right? So what I'm gonna do, and what I'm gonna focus on in this video is, I'm gonna focus on breaking down exactly how Terence Crawford deals with the pressure and the punch volume of an Errol Spence Jr., right? I'm gonna tell you exactly how it deals with it, right? Because a lot of you Errol Spence fans, a lot of you like to pretend like Terence Crawford's never gone up against a guy like Errol Spence Jr. ever before in his life, right? That's what a lot of you dudes like to lead with. But the fact of the matter is, Terence Crawford has fought several guys who are comparable in style to Errol Spence Jr., all right? Several guys, right? I think the question you should be asking is, who has Errol Spence fought who's even remotely comparable or similar to anything like a Terence Bud Crawford? You know what I'm saying? I mean, let's think about it for a second. Who's had the speed, the boxing IQ, the punching power, the ability to switch hit, the ability to make adjustments on the fly, the ability to counter punch, the ability to throw punches in bunches, pot shot, and do everything, do all the skills that you need a fighter to do at the highest possible level? Who do you know that even remotely becomes comparable to a Terence Bud Crawford? Shit, fuck all that. What was the last person Errol Spence fought who actually could move around the motherfucking ring? What was the last guy who he fought who actually had legs? You know what I mean? But I digress. You know what I'm saying? I mean, let's really think about it for a second. Terence Crawford has fought guys who are good pressure fighters. Felix Diaz, Jeff Horn, Sean Porter. Sean Porter you could even call an elite counter pressure fighter, punches and bunches kind of guy, because he's a guy that's won all his fights using that style. He's a guy that's had wins at the highest level, right? You dudes like to give Errol Spence Jr. all this credit for beating up a Danny Garcia, but you forget to mention the fact that Sean Porter beat Danny Garcia. That's what a lot of you niggas don't like talking about. Sean Porter beat Danny Garcia and beat him up pretty bad. You know what I'm saying? But that's a dude. Then Sean Porter gets stopped by Terence Bud Crawford, but y'all don't like talking about that shit. The dude y'all give all this credit for, Danny Garcia, loses to Sean Porter, which is the same dude that Bud Crawford stopped. You know what I'm saying? Nevertheless, the fact of the matter is, Terence Crawford has dealt with a lot of dudes who have very similar styles to a Errol Spence Jr., a pressure fighter, a guy who throws punches and bunches. You know what I mean? Several styles that are comparable to that. Now, when I say that their styles are similar and comparable, am I saying that Errol Spence isn't better than those guys? No, that's not what I'm saying. When I say that his style is comparable to these guys' style, am I saying that Errol Spence wouldn't beat those dudes? No, that's not what I'm saying either. I think Errol Spence is a much more skilled version of a Sean Porter, a Jeff Horn, and a Felix Diaz. Okay? But I'm merely raising this argument in order to show you guys, okay, that yes, Errol Spence is a skilled fighter. Yes, he's a guy that throws a lot of punches and bunches, but it's not nothing that Terence Bud Crawford has never seen before, and he has the tools needed in order to deal with it effectively, but in not only beat Errol Spence, but get him the fuck up out of there. You know what I mean? So let's go ahead and let's break down exactly how Terence Crawford will deal with the pressure of an Errol Spence Jr. All right? So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So one of Terence Crawford's greatest advantages over Errol Spence Jr. is his strength and his wrestling background, right? So the strength and the wrestling background coupled together, what it does is it makes him very effective at holding on the inside, okay? And I know a lot of people who don't know boxing, they're going to be very confused about this being an advantage that Terence Crawford has, right? But it very much is. The fact of the matter is, if Errol Spence ever gets too close, if Errol Spence ever closes the distance in a way that makes Terence Crawford feel uncomfortable in any type of way, he has the ability to hold him, slow down his movement, and fuck up his rhythm, fuck up his timing, and fuck up his breathing with the holding. Terence Crawford is deceptively strong, deceptively elusive in this regard, because anytime you get close, Anytime he doesn't like the amount of work that's coming his way, he'll be able to do it, but not only do it, but do it effectively and land little punches on the inside, making him very dangerous to grapple with. So this is just one of the many things that's just going to make it very difficult for somebody like a Errol Spence Jr. to compete with a Terence Bud Crawford. All right? And if you're not convinced, take a look at this. I mean, how many welterweights do you know flinging motherfuckers all the way across the side of the ring like that, like a Terence Bud Crawford did to a Jeff Horn and to a Showtime Sean Porter? It just ain't normal for a welterweight to be able to do what he does, man. And then, you know, Errol Spence is going to learn soon about what it means to be in a ring with a Terence Bud Crawford, but let's keep it moving. Another thing that makes this real difficult, man, is Bud has the ability to fight going backwards, man, and throw counter punches and pot shot at the same time as he's moving backwards. This is the most important part of him, of Bud's ability to fight guys that are pressure fighters. Okay, look at these guys moving forward. Look at these guys moving forward, and Bud's ability to move back. Bud's ability to throw punches as he's moving back. Bud is over here throwing counter punches off of his back foot. How many people do you know could do that? How many people do you know can throw effective and sharp and accurate counter punches as they're backing up? Okay, this is a nightmare for a pressure fighter because you got your head down. You're not even really moving your head, and Errol Spence don't move his motherfucking head. I don't care what none of you niggas say. Errol Spence, just like Jeff Horn, just like Felix Diaz, just like Sean Porter, he don't move his motherfucking head. So as he's coming forward, as he's trying to cut the ring, as he's trying to close distance, he's moving forward. Terence Crawford is moving back, but at the same time he's counterpunching. At the same time he's throwing active and accurate and effective punches off of his back foot. Okay, this is a nightmare for guys that like to pressure fight, that like to fight off their front foot. You know what I mean? This is a recipe for you to get hurt if you're Errol Spence Jr. Bud is going to turn you. Bud is going to pivot. Bud is going to throw that nice check left hook that you just seen just a second ago. But at the same time, as he's backing up, at the drop of a dime, he's going to stop and he's going to fire. That's what he does. But let's keep it moving. Finally, you have Bud Crawford's ability to finish. His ability to finish the job. His ability to move forward on his front foot. His ability to close the distance. His ability to be aggressive when he needs to be aggressive. Errol Spence is a fighter that likes to come forward. If at any point during this fight he's forced to get on his back foot, because we know Errol Spence can't fight on his back foot. We know Errol Spence can't fight off of his jab. We know he can't do these things. So if at any point, if Errol Spence is forced to take a step back, is forced to fight off of his back foot going backwards like Bud Crawford does all the time so effortlessly, if Errol Spence is forced to do that, he's going to be put in a situation where Terence Bud Crawford, one of the best finishers in the game, if not the best finisher in the game, coming on his front foot, coming up, being aggressive, and don't let Errol Spence be hurt in this situation because that's just a recipe for a disaster. So if we have a Bud Crawford coming forward on his front foot, okay, head hunting, throwing body shots, throwing combinations like he does so effortlessly and elegantly, it's a recipe for Errol Spence Jr. to be hurt and stopped by Terence Bud Crawford, ending the fight, ending all this talk, and putting all this bullshit to rest. You know what I'm saying? Alright, so just to recap, Terence Crawford's ability to hold on the inside, Terence Crawford's ability to fight off of his back foot, Terence Crawford's ability to become aggressive, fight on his front foot, throw combinations, okay? Between Terence Crawford's attributes, he has the ability to completely and utterly neutralize everything that Errol Spence is trying to do. But at the same time, he can make the necessary adjustments. He can make the necessary audibles needed in order to change whatever it is he's doing in order to suit whatever Errol Spence is trying to do in the fight. So between these things and more, man, Terence Bud Crawford is just a superior fighter in every way there is. You know what I'm saying? And that's all there is to it, man. That's all there is to it. I know I'm gonna get hate behind this video, but I don't really give a fuck. You feel me? But But let me know what your thoughts is on this motherfucking shit, man. Hit it up in the comment section below. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. And everybody, and I do mean everybody, be sure to hit that goddamn like button one time for your boy. But until next time, I'ma holla at y'all. Peace.